Imagine a soccer field. Now shrink it. Shrink it until the field is a small, circular platform and the players are no bigger than your thumbnail. The ball is a tiny yellow sphere, and the athletes are covered in fine golden hairs. They buzz. This isn't a scene from a forgotten animated movie or a bizarre dream, this is real science. In a laboratory, bumblebees have been taught to play a miniature version of soccer. They can identify a ball, push it toward a designated goal, and receive a sugary reward for their efforts. It sounds like a fantastic headline from a tabloid, but it represents a profound leap in our understanding of what an insect brain, with its mere million neurons, is truly capable of achieving. This revelation forces us to reconsider the very nature of intelligence. We often associate complex learning with humans, primates, dolphins, crows. The idea of an insect engaging in a task that requires observation, manipulation, and goal-oriented behavior seems almost preposterous. Yet here we are. Scientists didn't just stumble upon this, they meticulously designed an experiment to test the absolute limits of a bee's cognitive flexibility. The results were not just successful, they were astonishing, challenging decades of assumptions about the simple, instinct-driven lives of insects, and opening a door to a world where even the smallest creatures possess a capacity for learning that rivals that of so-called higher animals. The scene itself is almost comical in its brilliance. A single bumblebee, focused and determined, nudges a ball across a platform. It isn't just randomly bumping into it, it is directing it with purpose. The bee is a player, an agent in its own tiny drama. This isn't instinct. No bee in the history of the world has ever evolved to roll a ball into a hole. This is learned behavior, acquired not through millions of years of natural selection but through a few hours of observation and practice. It's a testament to the fact that the natural world is filled with minds far more intricate and adaptable than we have ever given them credit for, operating on principles we are only just beginning to grasp. They weren't just mimicking exact movements. For example, researchers used 3 balls in some tests, 2 glued down, 1 free to move. The demonstrator always moved the ball furthest from the goal. Observers didn't copy that inefficient move. Instead, they identified the movable ball and pushed it into the goal, often choosing the closest one. They hadn't just copied, they'd understood and improved the goal. The behavior of the newly trained bees was filled with surprising and often amusing moments. There was no single, uniform strategy. Each bee seemed to develop its own personal style. Some were methodical, carefully aligning themselves behind the ball, giving a series of gentle, precise nudges toward the hole. Others were brutish defenders, charging at the ball, bulldozing it across the platform. This variation was a remarkable discovery, suggesting bees aren't mindless automatons. They are individuals with different approaches to the same problem, a trait we usually credit to mammals. One fascinating aspect was how bees handled failure and adapted tactics. If a bee pushed the ball and missed, it didn't give up or repeat the same motion. Many would pause, reorient, try a different angle. This trial and error combined with observational learning showcased problem-solving beyond expectations. The bees weren't just acting on instinct, they were actively thinking, assessing, and modifying their behavior. It was a dynamic, cognitive process in real time. Researchers documented moments of innovation. In one setup, a demonstrator used a yellow ball to show the move. Later, observer bees faced different colored balls and still performed the task. They identified the object as a ball and applied the learned skill despite different visual cues. This generalization, the concept of ballness, is a sophisticated cognitive leap, learning to open one specific door, understanding the concept of doors in general. Perhaps the most human-like trait was persistence. They were driven by a sugar reward, much like an athlete driven by the roar of the crowd or the gleam of a trophy. Their focus was absolute. They ignored distractions, tirelessly worked the ball toward its goal. Bee soccer revealed their motivation and capacity for sustained, goal-oriented work. It transformed our image of bees into determined, adaptable, surprisingly clever strategists, capable of learning a game they weren't born to play. The bee soccer experiment is so shocking because it directly confronts our deep-seated biases about intelligence. We have a cognitive ladder in our minds, with humans at the top, apes, dolphins, and other large-brained animals. Insects are usually relegated to the bottom rung, seen as creatures of pure instinct. A bee's brain contains fewer than 1 million neurons compared to 86 billion in a human brain. Could such a small brain support complex, non-instinctual learning? This discovery suggests complex behaviors may not require a massive brain. They might emerge from simple, elegantly efficient neural circuits. The bee's brain is a masterpiece of miniaturization, capable of navigation, communication, and social organization. And now we see abstract concepts in tool use. The ball is a tool to get a reward. They didn't just copy movements, they learned the objective of the game. They generalized the task, innovated and improved on what they were shown. This isn't a simple robot, it's a flexible, thinking mind. Sophisticated learning may be far more ancient and widespread than we thought. The building blocks of intelligence, observation, problem-solving, and a primitive culture of passing knowledge might not be exclusive to vertebrates. For artificial intelligence researchers, it offers a powerful new model. The bee brain, with its hyper-efficient and low-energy design, provides a blueprint for creating smarter, more adaptable robots. You know, current AI often requires massive datasets and enormous computational power to learn a task. A bee, however, can learn a novel skill after just a few observations. By studying the neural pathways that allow for this rapid learning, scientists hope to develop new algorithms that can make our technology more intuitive and less reliant on brute force processing. Beyond their newfound soccer skills, bees lead lives packed with bizarre, wonderful details that feel like science fiction. Did you know bees can recognize individual human faces? Studies show they can be trained to link a photo of a person's face to a sweet reward. They don't see pixels. They remember the whole arrangement, eyes, nose, mouth, so if you're near a hive, they might remember you later. This pattern memory is part of a surprising cognitive world. Their communication is stranger than a waggle dance. They use many signals, vibrations, specific scents. They also have a stop signal. A forager that finds danger, say a predator near flowers, will perform a headbutt. It vibrates and bumps the dancing bee, effectively telling it to stop promoting that spot. It's a negative social warning that helps the colony avoid threats. Their anatomy is wonderfully weird. Bees have 5 eyes. 2 large compound eyes detect motion and patterns. 3 small ocelli sit on top of the head. Ocelli don't form images but sense light levels. They act like a biological light meter for sun orientation and flight stability. That multi-part vision lets bees navigate precisely, even on cloudy days, by detecting polarized light patterns in the sky. Bees can get hooked on certain nectars. Plants like rhododendrons make nectar with mild neurotoxins. In small doses it gives bees a buzz, and they often prefer it over safer nectar. Some bees return again and again, behavior similar to addiction. This shows pollinator-plant interactions can be chemistry-driven manipulation, not just mutual benefit. The hive is not merely a collection of individual bees, it is a superorganism, a single entity where tens of thousands of individuals work in concert for the collective good. This social structure is the foundation upon which their remarkable learning abilities are built. The bee soccer experiment was successful precisely because bees are inherently social creatures, primed to pay attention to the actions of others. In the wild, a young forager learns which flowers are most rewarding by following more experienced hive mates. Within this superorganism, information flows with incredible speed and efficiency. The waggle dance is the most famous example, a symbolic language that communicates the distance, direction, quality of a food source. But the hive's communication network is far more complex. It involves a constant exchange of chemical signals, pheromones, vibrations pass through the honeycomb, tactile interactions like the stop signal. This dense web of information allows the colony to react as one to opportunities and threats, allocating its workforce with a level of coordination that would be the envy of any human project manager.